On this episode of the EG Dominates podcast, we sit down with Will Monlux, an unstoppable force living with stage 4 liver cancer, and even more alive than ever. Will isn't just surviving a terminal diagnosis, he's flipping the script. He's training for triathlons, leading advocacy work at Wonderlink, and creating safe spaces for people navigating mental health and life-threatening illness. He believes hope isn't just something you carry, it's something you pass on. This episode is a reminder that even at the edge of life, love, purpose, and community still win. Get ready for a story that will move you, challenge you, and change the way you think about what it really means to live.
I was down, but now I'm up.
You're tuned into the EG Dominates podcast, coming today from Winter Garden, Florida. And today I have an absolutely incredible guest that I'm so excited for you guys to meet. Today I'm being joined by Will Monlux. Will is joining us today. He came up from St. Petersburg, and Will has been surviving stage 4 liver cancer for the last couple of years, and he has an absolutely incredible story that he wants to share. And I'm just excited to have him here, and the way that he was able to find me. He saw the podcast on LinkedIn a couple months ago and connected with me and said, I have a story that I'd love to share. And so we had a chance to kind of get to know each other over the last couple weeks. And today's the day. So so glad you're here, Will. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm really grateful to be on.
That's great. So what I think it'd be kind of fun to do first for people that are watching this episode, because I want them to kind of get a better understanding of who you are as a person. I came up with an icebreaker exercise, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rapid fire questions at you, and I want you to just tell me off the top of your head how you feel, what your answer is.
Okay.
Got it? Okay, here we go. Favorite food?
Favorite what?
Favorite food?
Indian food.
Indian food, okay. Favorite music group or artist?
Emancipator.
Top 2 hobbies?
Diving and I'm not sure what the other one is.
Favorite restaurant?
I'm not quite sure on that one.
Favorite vacation spot?
Seattle.
Okay. Summer or winter?
Well, Florida or Northwest.
Yeah, which one?
Winter in Florida, summer in the Northwest.
Okay. Mountains or beach?
These are hard. Beach.
Okay. Morning or evening?
Morning.
Okay. Cake or pie?
Cake.
Last question. University of Florida Gators or Florida State Seminoles?
Gators.
Go Gators. Cool. Thanks, Will. So, Will, we're going to start out with kind of take us back to what life was like for you. Where did you grow up? And tell me a little bit about what life was like growing up, your parents, if you have any siblings, and kind of what that experience was like that led you to the point in time where you decided to go from Washington, right, to Florida, and you went to school at the University of Florida. So kind of walk us through that timeline.
So I guess I primarily grew up in Moses Lake, Washington.
Okay.
It's kind of in eastern Washington. Kind of lived there from 4th grade until I moved down here.
Okay.
And I guess my journey's been kind of unique, and I'm incredibly blessed. Like, I've had a very supportive family. Like, if you think of my health insurance bills over the year, it's crazy. But I mean, growing up, I was really into running, and I think it's been. I mean, I had a really good childhood and growing up. I really enjoyed the Northwest, like going hiking.
So huge transition though. Like I'm from Southern California.
Oh yeah.
I went to school in North Dakota. So like same thing, right? Like we're talking about opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
How do you go from Washington to Florida? Like, was University of Florida the college that you knew that you wanted to go to, or kind of walk us through that?
So I started off college actually at the University of Washington.
Okay.
And that was kind of like my childhood, the college that, my dad went to, I grew up a big Husky fan.
Okay.
I still, my allegiances have not switched to the SEC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good to know.
But I guess, so my parents moved down after I went to college. And then when I first started college, I kind of had a little bit of kind of struggled with like mental health. And so kind of dropped out like after my freshman year. At the time, I kind of have bad attention deficit and like dyslexic, and I kind of had to get that all figured out. But, once I kind of regained my footing, I moved down to Florida and started at UF.
So were you by yourself when you moved to Florida? To go to
So
UF?
In Gainesville?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a big move cross country by yourself.
Oh yeah. And I mean, Seattle to UF is pretty far.
So what age were you when you made that move?
That would have been 21.
Okay,
21.
so 4 years ago?
Oh, how old?
No,
I'm
I'm
32.
sorry, I think you meant 2021.
Oh, no. 2014.
2014.
Yeah.
So you make this big move in
Yeah.
2014. Previous to this, you're battling mental health issues, dyslexia, ADHD. That's a big move, dude. That's impressive. So, first of all, congratulations, because for you to be able to go out and make a move cross country like that,
Yeah.
that's remarkable.
I mean, it's definitely a
brave.
big transition.
Yeah. So, what did you learn about yourself from that experience?
From the move itself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the move was actually kind of challenging because I got here and like I had a lot of like support up in Washington. Like my friends were all up there, and I come down here. It's kind of like a shock. You're kind of readjusting, and I had like those preliminary kind of issues like when I started college. But when I moved down here, I'm also diagnosed with like bipolar, and like that kind of like often how that manifests like is like in your early 20s. And so like when I moved down here, like that was also like a hard transition. So I was really dealing with that in my early 20s when I moved down.
Okay.
And it was kind of a challenge. And I took a couple years off, and then I eventually came back and then finished at UF.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So tell me about what you studied in college.
I studied biochemistry.
Biochemistry.
Yeah.
Are you passionate? I mean, obviously, that was your degree. How did you decide biochemistry? Like, what did you want to do with that?
So my plan was to go into medicine, but I kind of chose biochemistry in a whim. I loved organic chemistry, and I was like, okay, I'll take biochemistry. But that wasn't ever like the intention. Like chemistry actually used to be my worst subject, but I
Really?
fell in love with organic chemistry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you finished and graduate from University of Florida.
Yeah.
And what year was that?
2018, I believe.
Okay, so 2018.
Yeah.
So that's 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Graduated from UF in 2018. Where did you go after that?
So I think a big part of my recovery from, when I first moved down here, I was kind of like disjointed, was I became involved kind of in the peer support movement because when I first had that move...
The peer support movement, is that a company? Is that
peer support, it's kind of like the idea of helping like empower like each other, like kind of like on a peer-to-peer level, power to help like take steps forward in like your own recovery. And I guess kind of what I was struggling with when I came down was I really felt like I lost like a sense of agency of, when I was first diagnosed, I was like, oh, the medicine is going to make me feel better. But I mean, that's not really how it works. I mean, that's a component, but kind of regaining that sense of, taking those steps forward myself, like a thing that made a big difference was like being part of a community where like others could share their stories and like also I could share, and like, there's like that mutual benefit of like helping each other. And so I became involved with a peer respite up there, and kind of what that is.
in Gainesville?
In Gainesville, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I started kind of as a volunteer. And what the idea was, it's kind of the big principle is it helps with like avoiding like inpatient hospitalization.
So what we're talking about right now is totally different than biology or chemistry or anything really that you
I've had a
graduated
unique,
with, right?
it's kind of gone back and forth.
Okay.
I kind of took the divergence of, my goal was always to go back into medicine, but I was really passionate about, being able to make a tangible difference. Like, I really I really enjoyed it. And so one of kind of the aspects of the place where I was at, it was like a very underfunded nonprofit, and it was kind of like constant chaos. But like I really felt like I could help make a difference there, and
Sure.
I kind of stayed until I kind of felt like then I could move forward.
Okay.
But yeah, I was there for I think like 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you graduated and stayed in Gainesville for 4 years
Yeah.
and worked with this.
I mean, it was mixed
group.
in with when I was doing college. Like I
Okay.
think it was the last 2 years of college and then 2 years after.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so you go from there and then you moved to St. Petersburg from there?
Yeah. So I came to St. Petersburg after that.
Okay.
I think for like a year and a half. And that was a really challenging time because there was somewhat of it was kind of really toxic environment at the end. And I ended up actually having like some like PTSD, and I actually had a brain injury where I kind of lost the ability to visualize. And that was really demoralizing because I've had mental health issues for a while, but like I never, like I always had, like I could pull out of nowhere and like finish, like do good grades if I just like could go to class, like even a couple of days, but then like suddenly you're no longer able to really think. And that's just, it was really demoralizing, and I was really frozen for a while. Also kind of like just processing everything that would happen.
So how did you get out of that? Because what you're talking about right now is everything before you
Yeah.
were even diagnosed with cancer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, cancer is actually kind of what liberated me in a sense. Like I was starting to do better. Like I'd finally regained, like my brain, I had to do some exercise, and I eventually was able to process things again.
Okay.
And so I was actually, when I was diagnosed, I was in the middle of like my application process.
Okay.
But still I was recovering from that because, I mean, it was really challenging. And then like suddenly I get diagnosed, and
So before we get into the diagnosis,
Yeah.
right? So at this point, you're in St. Petersburg,
yeah.
okay? Are you working like a corporate type of job, or
No, so I actually was working at that time. I was like diving, like I was cleaning boats.
Oh, cool.
Just
Okay.
because my brain, like I couldn't think for such a long time. And like when I finally was able to, like I was just studying actually at the time where I was diagnosed because I was
Okay.
applying, but that's what I'd done for work, like while I was recovering.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as somebody that has recently been diagnosed and has gone through my fight with cancer, earlier before we started taping the show, we were kind of talking about our early on experiences. Can you kind of think back and kind of walk me through what were some of the early signs and symptoms that you had, and how long did it persist before you decided to go in
Yeah.
to see what's going on?
So liver cancer is challenging because often there are not very many symptoms until it's very advanced.
Okay.
The things that I kind of was experiencing was some vomiting and diarrhea, but like I kind of brushed that off as like stomach flu. Like you don't think liver cancer. I think one like retrospectively that I was experiencing was definitely fatigue, and you know I'd been in such a bad place that I didn't really realize. I just thought I was still like in that spot where I was frozen, but I was actually starting to do better. But cancer definitely kind of mixed in. I don't think I noticed that as much because, you know, once I was doing better again after cancer, like I noticed my energy levels were bad.
How many weeks were you feeling bad before you decided to go?
Probably around 3 months of on and off kind of diarrhea and vomiting. You know, thinking back now, it was like explosive, like vomiting, and
Okay.
also my reactiveness to food.
Daily?
Not daily. I think it's just certain kinds of food, like savory or like
Not
my stomach
Indian
couldn't
food?
handle it. Oh yes,
Because that's your favorite food, Will.
I know. I vomited a lot of times taking Indian food, but I still wanted it. Yeah.
So you said earlier too, you told me that your dad is a physician.
Yeah.
So did you at this point confide in him and ask him like, hey, this is some of the symptoms I'm having and what's going on? Or did you kind of keep it kind of quiet still at this point?
I think kind of they'd been urging like to go see if I had like a stomach virus or something.
Okay.
But it wasn't like immediate urgency until kind of like November. And that's when...
November of what year?
2022.
Okay, so 3 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years post-COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. So who's the first doctor that you go to see for this?
It was my primary care.
Okay, so this is important. It's important to kind of detail and outline the steps of your process, because I think it's important for the people at home that are watching this, either a short clip or the full episode. They need to understand that the time it takes for you to go get looked at initially matters. The time it takes between specialists for your consults and or procedures, that time matters, crucial. And everyone's story is a little bit different, right? So you said you go to primary care doctor first. You tell them about your symptoms, and what did they say?
So they recommended kind of a stool sample and then a CT, but the CT wasn't until the end of December. And this, when I went in, I think it was like the first week of December. And that's when I first kind of was confronted with like how the time frame is different than you'd expect. Like I finally went into like, okay, I kind of think there's something wrong. And now it's like 3 weeks out. But things were like progressively, at that point it was, I didn't know what was happening, but I had started to have a bleed because the cancer was growing so quickly that it was outgrowing its blood supply. And
so at this point, you still don't even know that you had cancer?
No, I don't know I have cancer.
Okay, so you're bleeding internally.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's coming out your stomach, or when you go to the
So there actually was no bleed coming out, which is weird. But I definitely started to feel some like the right quadrant pain.
Okay.
I think at that point, like I was like, okay, something's wrong. I would go into the hospital, but I was like, I don't want to like skip the line. Like I have a CT at the end of December. I can just wait. Yeah. But it got to the point where like my dad came. This was like 5 days later, I think. And he kind of did an abdominal scan, and he felt like it was hard. And then it was also like, definitely I was feeling more pain. I was like, okay, I need to go. Like maybe I have appendicitis.
So we're talking about 6 to 8 weeks at this point, from the time you went to the primary care doctor until they refer you to a specialist?
So it was 5 days from the primary care.
5 days?
Yeah.
Okay, so good. 5 days from primary care. Yeah. They send you to a GI doctor first?
Oh, no, so I went to the ER. So I didn't wait until I got the results.
Okay, so you go right to the ER and pick it up from there.
So going into the ER, like I was kind of hoping for something like significant enough that it would justify, coming in early. So I was like hoping for appendicitis. But like when I went in there, I started waiting more and more in the waiting room, and kind of how they did it was you'd come in and get a test, and you kind of go back, and then you go get another test. And I kept on getting more and more tests. And kind of what I found out, when I eventually saw the doctor was like, before they told me how severe, like what my diagnosis was going to be, they just want really make sure. And so like after 3 hours, I kind of go in and see the surgeon, the ER doc. And at that point it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. And then he comes in, and the first thing I remember him saying was like, I've never seen like a tumor this large before. And then, it's bleeding. There's a large mass of necrotic tissue. There might be a metastasis in your spine. You have fractured back and I think it was fractured ribs too. And I was like, wow.
So all of this had grown over the course of what time span do they think?
It's hard to know. Like, we do know that my cancer happened from exposure. And you can never be sure what it is, but I kind of have an idea. And it would have been like 4 years. Well, I don't know when it started.
Yeah.
But like
it's something that had been going for a couple of years.
It had to, yeah. And that's the problem with liver cancer is like usually goes for like a long time. You just don't catch it. Because the symptoms, like you don't generally would think like diarrhea or vomiting, like go like get an abdominal scan.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had been going on for a while. Definitely, it doesn't get that big without.
So he sees you. He delivers this information to you.
Yeah.
This is probably a lot of information to process.
Yeah.
What happens next?
So he kind of, at that point, also you don't know like the immediacy of like how the process takes to like have surgery and whatnot. But he was like, okay, we need to transfer you immediately to another hospital because there's that bleed. Then he was talking about, the options would probably be like a transplant or a resection. And like in my mind, I was thinking, oh, I might have that tomorrow. And like my phone was dead and I was like alone there. I was like, oh my God, like I could like be having surgery.
What hospital was this at?
That was at St. Anthony's.
St. Anthony's?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's in where?
In St. Petersburg.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to give a shout out to any doctors there?
What?
You want to give a shout out to any doctors there?
I don't remember their names, but like I am so grateful. So it took me a couple of days to get transferred over. Well, first of all, I'm really grateful for the ER surgeon for just like laying it out like that.
Yeah.
Because like at that point they didn't know for sure but it was cancer, but he was like, I want to kind of prepare you for what might be coming over the next couple of days. And he kind of just gave it all to me. And like immediately the next day, it was like, people were like, there's no way you have liver cancer like it has to be a tumor. And so it kind of went back to like, okay, it's not that bad. And then like slowly they'd be telling you it's worse and worse. But like, since I had to process all that at once when I was diagnosed, I'm very grateful to him.
I think people think, well, like, I think of liver cancer, and I might be totally off by this, but I think about people that are like excessive alcoholics.
Yeah.
They're a big risk factor. What are some of the main risk factors of people that get liver cancer?
Generally speaking, so one of them is fatty liver.
Okay.
One of them is like hepatitis. And then there's cirrhosis are the primary causes, like risk factors. And then like you can also get exposure. Exposure is more common like in other countries. In the United States, I think there's raising rates of like liver cancer.
Okay.
Because I mean, fatty liver is becoming more prevalent.
How many people get diagnosed with liver cancer in the United States a year?
I couldn't tell you. I know that it's, I think it's the
Can you Google
fifth.
that? Let's find out right now. What percent of Americans get diagnosed with liver cancer? So you said roughly 44,000 people in the United States will get diagnosed with liver cancer this year. Those statistics are very similar to like the number of people that would get oral cancer. And I also think that's part of the reason why you're sitting here in front of me telling your story is because it happens to such a small percentage of people. But if you are one of those people that end up with liver cancer or oral cancer, you want to make sure that there's resources out there and there's people out there that have gone through it that are here to tell their story and to give support and direction. So I'm so glad you're doing this. So small percentage, 44,000 people a year in the United States will get liver cancer. You get diagnosed with liver cancer. Now what?
So I get transferred to Tampa General, and then
Tampa General?
Tampa General,
Okay.
yeah. And so another position I'd be incredibly grateful for is, so again, like the logistics is really hard with medicine because there's so many people.
Involved.
And I got really fortunate. Like I actually wasn't on like the cancer floor. I got transferred to the cardiac floor.
Okay.
Because like technically at that point my resting heart rate was like 125. And so they were like, okay, we can put him on that floor. And so I got transferred sooner.
Okay.
And I'm grateful for that doctor because like immediacy is important, like with cancer, especially when it gets like advanced, like things can fall apart quickly. And so I got transferred, and then it was kind of still the slow progression of like,
How long were you in the hospital for the first time? So if we get diagnosed, transferred to Tampa General, how many days were you nights were you in the hospital?
between 2 and 3 weeks.
Between 2 and 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. So during that time, what did you learn?
So, I mean, we started realizing I had less and less options. Like at first they were talking like transplant, but then I couldn't because I found out I had small metastases on the other side.
Okay.
And then we were talking about a resection, and then that was put off the table. And so now like your only option is like immunotherapy. And like that's just a palliative option unless they can reduce the.
Why were those other options not on the table?
So with liver cancer, you can get a transplant if it's small enough. When I was diagnosed, it was I think 28 centimeters, so that was never gonna be on the table.
Wow.
And then with like resections, the one blessing I've always had is like my liver function has been very high. But the fact that there were metastases in the right lobe made it so they couldn't do it. But kind of the plan at the beginning was they were all very small. And then that's another thing where like if I'd gone in, they had to have not been there that long. But if the goal was to like target those and if they can shrink, then I could get a resection.
Okay.
And that was kind of the initial game plan.
So you're in the hospital for a couple of weeks. They decide the best course of action is going to be immunotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't. What does that treatment look like? What does it feel like? How many times a day or a week do you have to have it done?
Mm-hmm.
How is it administered? Walk us through that.
So immunotherapy kind of just amplifies your own body's immune system to be able to attack the cancer.
Okay.
And how I think at that time there's for liver cancer there's 2 first-line treatments, like 2 different kinds of immunotherapy.
Okay.
And the first one, I think I was going in every 3 weeks, but I progressed fairly quickly, and so they switched over to the next one. And like generally speaking, immunotherapy, it kind of can depend on which one you're on. At that time, I think I had 2 different kinds of immunotherapy because one of the first lines I think is Keytruda, and I don't remember the other medicine that's with it. But I think it was like 2 hours for that. And then the next immunotherapy, I think, was around an hour. And then that was in combination with like a pill. I don't know if it was like a chemo pill.
Okay, so this is an intravenous.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's all
midline?
intravenous. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel after you go through a treatment? Do you feel different?
So definitely fatigue. But the treatment itself, like immunotherapy, the ones that I was having, I don't think was that intense.
Okay. So how many rounds of immunotherapy did you do and over what time frame?
So the first one was, I think, 2, and then the next one was 8. And I was on those treatments from, so I didn't actually start immunotherapy, like by the time my insurance had approved it, and I'd gotten the right one. I think I was like the end of February. And so I was on one of them for 2 months, then one of them for, I failed off the next immunotherapy in, I think like 5 months.
Why did you fail off?
So once the disease progressed on it, then the insurance would no longer cover.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So diagnosed with cancer. We're going to go from immunotherapy.
Yeah.
It doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Cancer is still spreading.
Yeah.
And now at this point, when we realize that the cancer is still spreading, what month are we in?
This would be August. Yeah, August.
Okay, so November, so almost 7 months after the initial diagnosis.
So I failed out of both first-line treatments at that time.
Okay. Well, when you were diagnosed with liver cancer, what stage did they diagnose you at?
So it's kind of interesting. I was never actually given a stage.
Okay.
But like it would have been stage 4,
Okay.
because it had metastasized to my spine. But we actually didn't do a biopsy on the spine until like July. And then in July is when I had kyphoplasty, which is where they kind of go in and like remove it and then put sealant or something in there.
Okay.
And again, that's another thing where it was a very innovative treatment, and had an amazing surgeon that did that. The fact that I have no problems with my back now is like amazing.
Yeah. So you go through the immunotherapies; those don't work. What's the next step then from there?
So that whole time we were kind of looking at clinical trials, but like I couldn't get into any yet. There weren't any open like around us.
Okay.
So I was briefly put on a second-line treatment. I think it's another, I don't remember what kind of inhibitor. I think it's like a STAT inhibitor.
Okay.
But I was on that for like 3 weeks, but then I got into the clinical trial. And then how clinical trials work is you have to do a washout period.
So end of 2023 or are we into 2024?
We're still in, this is the next month, October.
October 2023.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I did that washout period for a month. And that was like a really scary month because like things were definitely getting
People
worse.
that don't know what a washout period is. So what is that?
So like when you start a clinical trial, they need to make sure you haven't been on treatments generally for a month. It kind of, you want to make sure you have none of that other stuff in your system.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like a waiting period until you get to be able to be on that clinical trial. And so I was on nothing for that month. And like, that was really scary because I could definitely see that it was getting very much worse. Like for the first time I was starting to get ascites and just, I mean, that's a scary process because you know something's getting worse and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And then like the day I go in to start the clinical trial, when you first test to get in a clinical trial, you have to meet like all their parameters. And like I did at that point. But like after that month washout period, my numbers no longer would allow me to. I had one number, one of my liver enzyme had gone too high. And so I no longer would be able to get into the trial. And so I had to, how we did it was we're going to retest in a week. And if that number went down, then I could get into the trial.
Okay.
And like, fortunately it did go down.
So incredible, right? It
Yeah.
goes down. You're able to start the trial.
Yeah.
And this is November 2023.
Yeah.
How long is the trial?
So technically I'm on the trial from November to April.
Okay.
But my clinical trial drug had been held from January until April because at that point I had started my renal, I was starting to go into renal failure. And at that time we were kind of waiting for...
What were some of the symptoms of renal failure?
So proteinuria, it's like when you have protein in your urine. I think it was darker at that time. Also, I started to get like edema, so my legs really started to balloon.
Yeah.
And so, like when that started, like we were kind of waiting, like, okay, is this going to go down by being off the medicine or something, so you can get back on? But it didn't. And so eventually it kind of progressed. It got worse and worse. And then in April is when I went in the hospital. Like I had a bleed, and then I was also going into renal failure. And that hospital, they'd said, at that time the liver was basically my entire abdomen. When I was first diagnosed, the primary one was 28. But now the metastases on the other side were like 5 to like 9 or something. It was just my whole abdomen was cancer. And like they said it was like too risky to do the surgery. And so like I would have bled out. Like I'd already had 3 infusions like in that first week that I was there.
So what you're saying right now, what you're telling me, you're telling everybody out there, is that a year and a half ago, you were stage 4 liver cancer and going into renal failure.
And I was in sepsis.
And sepsis.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago.
Yeah. In April of 2024. Yeah.
So you start the trial, and I'm guessing that things miraculously started to turn around.
When I started, so after that, I was in really rough shape. So I was transferred to another hospital where they stopped the bleed, but I did go into renal failure, and so I was on dialysis.
How long were you on dialysis for?
I think 6 weeks, between 6 and 8.
Okay.
But like my kidneys recovered, like it was insane.
So we're talking like dialysis catheter?
Yeah, it was,
Okay.
this side, yeah.
Yep.
And so I'd get that 3 days a week.
Okay, so getting blood treatment 3 days a week?
Yeah.
How long does each session take?
I think 5 to 6 hours.
So 15 to 18 hours a week, you're sitting there getting dialysis treatment done.
Yeah, and then the other days I was getting paracentesis because my liver was at the state where it was generating a bunch of like ascites.
Yeah.
And so like I was getting 4 liters drained from my abdomen, and then I was getting 2.9 every time I went to dialysis. And so like that adds up. It turns out to like 30 pounds of fluid a week.
Just this guy is incredible. My gosh.
It was rough.
So at what point did things start to turn around?
So when I started,
I think at this point, you're probably like at the lowest point, right?
Yeah.
You could possibly be.
pretty much.
Before you tell me about how things started turning around physically, right? You're going through all this.
Yeah.
Talk about mentally. I mean, at this point, you've been battling cancer for almost a year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, stage 4 terminal cancer.
Yeah.
How do you cope with that mentally?
So, I mean, I think it's a thing where there's varying degrees of like acceptance and like mental breakthroughs. I mean, the first one when I was diagnosed, I think it was kind of a liberation thing where it's like, okay, maybe my time frame for how long I have left is less. And like best case scenario, if I don't have a resection, is probably 5 years. So like, how can I make the biggest impact like for the community in that period? So it's kind of like my first degree of acceptance, but you know, in my mind, I still wasn't really processing that there wasn't like a cure. Like, it's okay, I can have these go down and I get a resection. That's the plan. But then, you know, once that July when I had the metastasis, it was like, okay, there's no cure now. And then kind of the next mental breakthrough I had was kind of the realization that I'm pretty good at like getting beat up and kind of getting back up. And so all I have to do is like keep on surviving and getting up until like maybe someday I'll get something in me. Kind of, you know, I'm under siege, and I don't know if this is the Alamo or like the Battle of one of the ones from World War II where the tanks came in and saved them.
Yeah.
But I mean, that got me through everything until actually January of this year. And then my next mental breakthrough had happened. But, you know, that was all like the hardest times.
Do you have days like, I think that like putting myself, you know, I can't put myself in your shoes. Mm-hmm. What you've been through is more than anyone that I've ever come in contact with, Will. Mm-hmm. I mean, you are a walking testament, my friend. I think that people don't talk about the mental and emotional aspect of dealing with cancer and coming back from it. And to hear you say that you battled with mental health before you even had cancer, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
You know, it's a struggle. I struggle with it. You know, I think people see, you know, they see me in person, they see me at work, they see me in non-work functions. They see my Instagram stories and my Instagram posts and the podcast stuff. And on the outside, everything looks great. Everything looks wonderful. Man, this guy's, you know, he's really out here doing it. He's so positive. And I really try to be. But what people don't see is, you know, when the camera and the lights turn off and you're sitting in your house, how you handle and process and deal with that information. And I think it's important that people know that it's okay to feel that way.
Yeah.
As long as you have a friend, if you have friends or a support group or somebody that you can talk to or people you can talk to and confide in, I think that we're always going to be prone to having good days and bad days. You know, I've had my share of bad days. And, you know, for me, I always take the mindset of I just want to take it one day at a time. Because I might be having a bad day today, but tomorrow's going to be a new day. And at the end of the day, I'm really just blessed to be here, you know?
Yeah.
So how do you kind of approach good days and bad days?
I think I really relate to like what you just said. Because like one of my views kind of like of hope is like hope is something that's fluid. And like how I found hope yesterday might not necessarily be like how I find it today or even find it tomorrow. But like just being able to find that moment in that day and just like making it through that day, I think is just one of the biggest things. Because like as things always get worse, if you're kind of grasping on to like what hope was before, it's hard to get caught up in like the sense of loss.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. So I kind of want to progress our story here, and I've got a couple of questions for you that I think are important that are really going to kind of help you to continue to kind of showcase what your mission is, what your purpose is, what you're passionate about. Talk about, you wrote that a terminal diagnosis isn't the end of your story. So my question was, when did that mindset begin for you? Did it begin when you moved to Florida and you battled your mental health and you crossed the United States and came here and were in Gainesville by yourself? Or was that just preparation for that mindset once you were diagnosed with cancer?
I think there's always kind of been that, like, a big part of my identity is like being resilient. And I think when it comes to like terminal, like not being the end, it's kind of, I never like really thought, our future is never guaranteed. Like the human experience is a terminal experience. And kind of the big thing where, I think the big breakthrough where I really had a big degree of like acceptance with that, is like often like in society, like we hear terminal and it's like, it's over. And I think it's difficult, and like one of the most challenging things I think about like terminal cancer or just in general cancer is it's hard not to have like either self-pity or like there's a lot of pity, like kind of, no one knows how to relate to this. So there's also like pity around you. And like being able to like maintain a sense of like self-agency is really important. And so, man, I'm losing my train of thought.
No, you're doing great. You're speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
So here's another question for you, Will. And I wanted to get to the point where we're talking about how you started to feel better and started to see some changes that allowed you to pursue some things you're passionate about. One of them is running and participating in triathlons, right? But before we get to that, tell me about, like, in St. Pete, your group, your connections, your network. What role has your friends and your family played in your survival and your hope?
I think it's just really, cancer can be a very, it can leave you feeling very powerless, because like often there's like not much you can do. Like cancer is not something you can beat alone. It's something where it really does take like a community. And I mean, that comes in all different shapes and forms. And so I think helping in just being able to continue to take steps forwards, like being empowered, and like how those around me kind of help with hope kind of varies throughout the process. But I mean, I'm very blessed to have like a really good support system.
You got any friends you want to give a shout out to? Any people?
I mean, there's a lot of people,
Okay.
but my best friend, he actually lives in Seattle.
Who is that?
Hayden.
Hayden?
But he's been here for pretty much all the worst moments. Or I've talked to him on the worst moments.
He's been very supportive and
yeah,
been there for you through thick and thin.
Pretty much.
It's important to have friends like that.
Yeah.
It's great. Okay, so let's talk about your passions here.
Mm-hmm.
You are part of a group that's called Wonderlink.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we're going to spend some time talking about Wonderlink, and I want to be able to provide some links and some resources so that I can help connect people not only to you, but also to Wonderlink and the cause that you guys have set forth. So you are the Chief Advocacy Officer at Wonderlink. You turned your pain into purpose. Tell people about what Wonderlink is and how it can help others.
Okay. So I guess first I'll kind of just talk about what we help with is like when you run out of options, helping get connected to not clinical trials, but being able to still be able to get drugs that are in development. And so like one thing that often happens is you need to fit like the parameters to get into like a clinical trial. And like the best drug for you, like you might like not qualify for it at all. And so, especially when it starts getting further and further in the progression, like when I was on dialysis and like everything was horrible, there's not a single clinical trial I could have got on. But I was incredibly blessed. One, because like my father is a physician, and I also had like a background kind of in biology, like being able to, we started looking at, the things that are out there that are the innovations that are happening. And through that, we were able to get connected with Dr. Chiki. She's kind of one of her big passion projects was at that time, like Wonderlink was, she's helped various patients kind of navigate the process of getting medicines through compassionate use. But what kind of has happened now, we just got our nonprofit status, is really making this kind of a reality for more people. And so
just like to simplify it, Wonderlink is a way to help people that are going through cancer to get into clinical trials.
So they actually aren't clinical trials per se.
Okay.
So it's called, generally speaking, it's like a one-of-one approved trial. Okay. And so when you can't get into a clinical trial, you can go, there's a mechanism through the FDA where you can apply for N of 1 and get approved to take that drug. And then you get the drug either through expanded access or like compassionate use. And that's what allows you to get access to something when you would never qualify.
So is there, and this is not just for liver cancer I'm taking.
No,
this
it's for all cancers.
Any type of cancer.
Yeah.
And how would somebody that is watching this right now, if they wanted to learn more about Wonderlink, is there a website?
Yeah, so we have a website, just wonderlinkthink.com.
Okay.
Wait, do you want me to tell
everything? Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I guess the biggest thing is like, I think being able to advocate for yourself, because it's really hard when, you're running out of options, and that's a very disempowering state. And kind of the goal of Wonderlink is to help empower you, like in those places to, like, you're not alone. Like there's never, like, hope is either there or it's not. And if you're still, you can still strive for something, even if you're like told it's a terminal diagnosis.
Sure.
And so one of the things to do is, like, I think education is a big thing. And not everyone was fortunate of, like, I had it very close to me, like a father who's a physician. So one of the aspects is like helping, like being able to find out like the best options out there. And so being able to kind of put out, first of all, we're building a database of all the drugs that are in development, and their expanded use programs, and which ones do that. One of the challenges that exists right now is navigating this process is it's very challenging, just because it's not something that actually happens that often. And like even like the one of the websites that shows like the expanded access programs, like links are broken. Like it's just something where there's not like a heavy emphasis on, and that's because there's a lot of barriers to make it happen in actuality. Because on one standpoint, the drug companies, it's challenging because they can't, they can only provide the drug at either cost or for free. And they still have to go through the logistical process of reporting it, like as a clinical trial. And so like with a lot of these early stage pharmaceutical companies, that's a big kind of logistical burden on them. And so they often don't go ahead and do compassionate use just because that aspect is challenging.
Sure.
And also this whole area is not really covered by insurance. And so it's something where there's like no money made there. And also that's where it becomes challenging also for, from getting the drug is an issue, and then getting a place to give you the drug is an issue. Because like often like for big NIH centers, like they don't do like one-of-one compassionate use. Like if they do it, it's generally they can do cohorts, and it's like part of a bigger expanded access program that they kind of work with the pharmaceutical company with. But getting a place where they do this, like the challenge is again like logistics. There's so many people that have cancer, and the system's already like very burdened that like being able to look for like all the things that are development, like based off like your specific markers, what's best, like that's a time consuming process. And like logistically, I mean, there's just barriers that exist because
How long has Wonderlink been around for?
so the nonprofit we just formed officially in the last, I think, month. But this has been a passion project for Dr. Cheeky. Yeah, and her husband they've helped quite a few people.
So how many people know about Wonderlink? Like, I'm guessing at this point we're not doing any advertising or anything like that. Like,
No.
How many hits do you guys get a week on the website or a month on the website? Do you even track?
I mean, right now, not that many.
Okay.
I think it's also because like people don't even really know expanded access or compassionate use.
So the whole goal here in sitting down with you today is giving you that platform to let people know, hey, look, if you or somebody you know is going through cancer and you're looking for clinical trials, you might want to go to this Wonderlink website and take a look at what Will's talking about, because there's a lot of options and resources out there that could potentially help you or somebody you love.
Yeah, and I think
that was perfect.
Yeah.
That was its own little reel right there. That was an infomercial.
Yeah. I think even if it's not Wonderlink itself, like just raising the awareness of like talking to your physician about compassionate use or expanding access and like bringing it more into the public dialogue.
Yeah.
Because like there's a lot of things that there need to be changes for this to be a reality for more people. And so like just having conversations about this is important as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really cool. Okay. So you're involved in this project. You had told me that you're kind of slowly putting all the pieces together. You just got your nonprofit status. So what's the next couple of steps for you with Wonderlink?
So, I mean, the first part is just like increasing public awareness for it.
Okay.
Then the next one is like making a very user-friendly, navigable like database. Because right now it can be overwhelming. Like the ones that are out there aren't like complete, and also like from a patient standpoint, how to navigate this. It isn't really geared towards that.
If you're a patient or somebody that's looking for this resource and you're having a hard time navigating, like you're saying, the site, because there's a lot, could be overwhelming, is there somebody that somebody could possibly reach out to from Wonderlink and speak with over the phone or like via email to connect?
So, I mean, that's a goal. Like as we start building up and have more like resources to be able to do that, we really want, because this is such an overwhelming, like you're in a life or death period, and like every kind of barrier, like it's very easy to get frozen. And so we would like to eventually have a way that really helps walk you through this process.
Okay.
That's kind of the next tier. The first one is like getting the resource out there, getting awareness. And then like, as we can start building, like definitely want to help like people navigate that. And then like the next stage is like really helping with gaining access to like drugs.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Is there anything else that you want people to know or that you want to discuss on the topic of what you're doing with Wonderlink?
I think that's the primary thing for Wonderlink. Yeah.
Okay. I can tell you, Will, I think that, looking when I first met you and I'm looking at your LinkedIn and I see everything on LinkedIn, I'm going to put your LinkedIn profile link on Instagram when I start sharing these, because I think that the easier that I can help people connect to you or connect to Wonderlink is going to be a valuable asset, because time is of the essence for a lot of these people. So working on this amazing project right now, how are you feeling?
I feel so good.
Okay, so talk to me about that. You literally, a year and a half ago, were not in a good spot.
No.
You have renal failure, stage 4 liver cancer, you're doing dialysis. What changed?
I mean, I think the biggest thing was like regaining a sense of agency. The hardest time of this whole period was when I was in that limbo of waiting with no medicine and very much an uncertainty. But kind of finding like having anything to strive for, I think, is like transformative. And like how I started kind of this process was like I started training for like a triathlon.
Yeah, so the triathlon, this is like the coup de grace. This is the finale. Yeah. Like I want to take your story and really kind of end it with this awesome ending. I've seen pictures and videos of you training for triathlons. And I'm like, wait a minute, who is this guy? I've literally been following this guy. He's telling me his story. I see that he's been through hell and back. And then now this guy's running and bicycling and swimming. And like, dude, you are Iron Man. You're Iron Man. Talk to us. How long have you been training? How did this whole thing even come about? Like, break it down for us.
So when I first started, I wasn't thinking triathlon.
Okay, yeah.
Like how it all started was actually when things were actually the worst. Back in April, like I got my worst MRI ever, where it was like, you have advanced cachexia, you have liver is all cancer.
April of this year?
Oh, last year, like right before I was recommended for hospice. But like,
So 16 months ago,
yeah,
you were recommended for hospice. 16 months ago, Will was recommended for hospice. Since then, he has been training for triathlons.
yeah.
How?
So, I mean, it started like when I got that, it's really hard when you like feel like you can't do anything to fight back. And so I got that diagnosis of cachexia, and technically there's no cure for like advanced cachexia, but you can rebuild skeletal muscle. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go swimming. And so I went to the pool early April, and just being able to like feel like I'm fighting back, even if, I mean, that experience was bizarre. Like you don't realize how weak you get. And so I got in the pool, and first of all, your buoyancy changes when you have my buoyancy. I just sank like a rock.
Really?
And then like I had no power in my legs. So like I try and swim and I just sink. But like just the feeling of being in the pool and walking around, like that was the first time I had a sense of agency. What actually happened that day, like was when the bleed started. It might have actually happened. It would have happened anyway. Like it was on the verge of happening, but like that was the first day I swam, and it's the first day I had a sense of agency. But then all the being recommended to hospice stuff happened. And the thing I always kind of hung on to was like they wanted to put in like a catheter for my liver, or like when I was on dialysis, I had to wrap up my this catheter. But like just being in the water and being able to walk was like the one way where I had agency. And then like after that, the first day I was off dialysis, like I no longer had to go that Friday. I was like, it's such a liberating feeling, because like when I first started dialysis, like I couldn't even drive there. It's like my parents were taking me, and then like it was a big deal to be able to like drive again. And then like the first day off, I was like, I want to try and bike. And so I went out to Fort DeSoto. I still had the catheter in me. And so I was going out there and I was doing a bike. Again, I was over ambitious. Like I was like, I'm going to go bike Fort DeSoto. I biked like a couple miles. And people gave me crazy looks because I still had a giant stomach and a catheter.
Yeah.
But like that was so liberating, because moving your own body like that, like, is amazing.
So would you say exercising and working out is one of those things that's kind of helped you to kind of like have a positive mindset?
I think just having something to strive for, and having something where like you feel like, even if I'm not striving for a cure right now, having something that I can strive for is big. And I think one of the hardest challenges is when like you're striving for something where you have like no control over ultimately. Like there's a high likelihood like you'll never get there. And like taking that first step to start doing that is like the hardest. But like once you start doing that and like have that liberation of like moving forward, like it's very liberating.
So you've been training for like a little over a year. Have you actually done? Have you done? How many triathlons have you done?
I've done one.
Okay, so I saw a picture and video on that.
Yeah.
So you completed your first triathlon how long ago?
In April.
In April of this year.
Yeah.
Okay, and you told me earlier that you're still training and there's more to come. What's next?
So now I'm training for this weekend I'm doing a full triathlon, and then I'm gonna do an Ironman 70.3 in December.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Where's that at?
In Claremont.
In Claremont.
Yeah.
Man, you are remarkable. You are remarkable. So I guess when you think of how you want to be remembered, or what you want your legacy to look like, 10 years, 20 years from now? How do you want people to remember Will?
I mean, my biggest purpose right now, like the reason why I think I've been given like an incredible gift is like being able to be part of something that I think can like truly make a big difference. Because, there's not many stories like mine. Like usually you run out of options. Like it's things are going to go downhill soon. And like my big goal is like helping make this a reality for more people, like help raise awareness for like compassion use, help like with Wonderlink, making the logistical part easier, helping eventually like for legislation. Like there is no easy solution, but I think having dialogue will lead to legislative change that can make this truly a something that lots of people can have. And so I think that's the biggest thing. It's probably the big that I'm working on.
That's a huge one, man.
Yeah.
That's a huge one. Well, Wonder Voices is another passion project of yours that I know you wanted to discuss. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to share with people what exactly it is, where they can find it, and how it can help them. So take it away for us.
So I guess Wonder Voices is kind of based off like the idea of like you're not alone. The community is there to kind of like support you. And so what we do is we make cards and give them to patients that are like getting treatment or in the hospital. We've kind of just started like we have postcards that we put like throughout the community. And the idea is like everyone's journey through cancer is unique. Similarly, like everyone that, is voicing or writing something also has their unique perspective. And like by kind of bringing these together, like maybe one thing doesn't speak to you, but like maybe something else does. And I guess it's just really hard. Like cancer is such an isolating thing. And like you can feel that you're no longer part of like a normal community.
Sure.
But like
it feels good to know that there's people out there that
Exactly.
are supporting you and people you never even met before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you guys currently, where are you guys doing this at? If somebody's interested in getting involved with this.
So one thing you can do is you can request postcards and like share them with, like if you have a favorite community spot, like where there's gatherings, kind of bringing them, and you can host like events where people can write cards, or if you have like a business or place where you're willing to have.
Where do we get these postcards from?
So we print them and then we can send them to businesses.
Is there a website for this?
Yeah, we're almost developing the full one, but it's wondervoices.com.
Wondervoices.com.
Yeah.
So if I want to get involved in wondervoices.com right now, if it's a website for some reason isn't up when this episode comes out, how do they get in touch with the right people?
So right now there's our official one isn't up, but there's still a way to get up, and you can just go to Wonder Voices and request. I can't remember the exact email, but it's on there.
Okay.
And then you can request postcards. You can become a Wonder Spot. We're also looking to do Wonder Hours, which again, it's like really hard. Like cancer is isolating, but having places where you can kind of get together, kind of anyone in the cancer journey, like whether you're a family member, a cancer survivor, just being diagnosed, and kind of like having the intention focused on like gathering there. We're also doing that.
Gotcha. Perfect. I'm so glad that God brought you into my life.
Yeah.
I think you're an incredible guy. I love you like a brother. I look forward to keeping in touch with you and watching your journey. And thanks again for being brave enough to come on and to share your story. One last question that I want to leave you with. Two dudes sitting here that are going through cancer. What would you say to somebody who just got diagnosed with life-threatening cancer that feels completely alone right now? What would your message to somebody like that be?
I mean, first of all, that, being diagnosed doesn't mean it's over. The first part is just like that incredible sense of like powerlessness when you're there. And I think it's important to like still to like reach out and like, again, like cancer is something that requires like a community and like making sure like you're part of a community, and that like you find something to move forward towards. And I mean, it's an incredibly uncertain time, and you're thrown out, like completely out of
Scary.
your normal.
Yeah.
But finding something each day to like still find happiness from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your words of
Yeah.
wisdom and advice. And I hope that this episode was something that people that are watching can find a lot of value from. And I hope that this is something that you can share with other people that are going through something similar. This was a great learning experience to learn about Wonderlink and yourself and your incredible battle with cancer. So I wish you nothing but the best.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
I was down, but now I'm up. Yeah. It's all God.